Hello and good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Joshua Brown News Hour. I am your host, Joshua Brown, and I'll just briefly talk a little bit about what I hope for this podcast to be. I want to talk about news and ultimately both news and sports, and we'll kind of talk until uh, we're done, and no set talking time. We'll go over topics that have impacted the day. Not always going to be on a set schedule. I'd like to do these podcasts at night, just kind of go over the day's events, but also sometimes they may be in the morning. Just depends on when the news of the day has been coming out. But I generally like to start off with the news, but we do have some other things going on here. We have the Northwestern Ohio State game going on ABC. The Notre Dame Fighting Irish are playing on NBC. We have A's game going up here right now. In the bottom of the fourth, one on for the A's. That is a tie game, 0-0, playing the Detroit Tigers at Oakland. And earlier in the day, the Tampa Bay Rays losing to the Red Sox, so that series going 2-0 to the Red Sox. But let's go to some of the top news stories for the day so far to get started here. We're gonna going back to what we plan on doing here. I want to go over just different topics from a variety of different news sources from the day for our news, and then do the same with the sports and talk a little bit about what's going on in the sporting world. But like I mentioned, normally I like to go through news and, like I said, get different perspectives. Both right and left side, and hopefully come up with something in the middle. So we have Sky News here. I'm also watching, and let's see. They're doing some stories on the upcoming Star Wars movie, but their top story for the day: Obama calls for end to U.S. shutdown farce. Just gives a little bit of information that he's talking about, just asking for the vote. That is, of course, in regards to the vote that can be called by Bonner, Senator Bonner, and that has just not been called to do a continuing resolution for the budget. And then, of course, this is also being bookended, or can possibly be bookended by the debt ceiling that is going to be on the 17th of October. So a couple of different financial issues here that are really being controlled. Again, it's going to be, my opinion, by a very remote part of the Republican Party, majority of them being Tea Party members. And Bonner, while I don't believe himself being a proposed member of the Tea Party, kind of looked like the party being beholden to them in some regard. So just to kind of give you an idea, that vote, the reason that the Senate Majority Leader can, not the Senate, the House Majority Leader, Bonner, cannot call the vote or can decide not to call that vote, is because the Republicans do control a majority. There's 234 members that have House seats there, 201 Democrats, and at this time there are no independents. So that makes up the total of the 435 for this 113th Congress. Now, another story here that we have starting off here is in regards to the magic number that is needed. So the Huffington Post has a story, and again, these will all be in show notes that I'll have links for you. Huffington Post, a tally of which Republicans are ready to fund the government, no strings attached. So what this means is these are the House members that are also Republican, saying that they are ready to have the vote for the federal budget to be put through by the John Boehner, the majority leader, that needs to get taken done. So it lists about 21 members, and of course, going back to the party divide, like I said, 234 to 201. And this lists 21 names, either have been like Twitter quotes or given to local news anchors. Let's see here. Direct statements: Charlie Dent, Republican in Pennsylvania. Just looking through a lot of these names, no real surprises. None of the staunch Tea Partiers have come out in favor of just passing it without any thing to deal with Obamacare. There are some in more of the the rural areas, Arkansas, a couple in Florida. Again, that can vary depending on where in Florida they are as well. But the rest are, I guess the one in Idaho is you would expect a little bit more conservative, but again, like Pennsylvania, California, New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania. So of the 21, fairly amount coming from more of the what I would say liberal states. But again, this is all going to be they're coming out for this is really going to be tested when it comes time to actually have a vote, and that can be repealing of the Hassett rule, or making basically the case a moot point so that he can't hold out and have the vote, and that the vote will actually have to take place. Now, this is a timely process that I do feel that needs to be taken into consideration. I think at this point, Obama and the Democrats have been backed into a corner, and I think what a lot of the commentators have been stating is that they cannot back down in this situation, because other things can be chipped away at. The next issue can be abortion. It can be dealing with creationism and the teaching of science in schools. These are also issues that are banner issues that bring out the most people, even more so than I think with Obamacare and health insurance, that is called socialized medicine in their eyes. So going from that point, like I said, those 21 members are really going to be tested with this 30 days. But again, that's going to be coming up against that debt ceiling that needs to be taken care of before the 17th, hopefully much sooner than that time. So it remains to be seen if the Republicans really want to take that big of a chance and not get this taken care of and somehow try and spin it into a different way. But I suspect that they will deal with this and both combine it with the debt ceiling, and really have to dig in and then say, okay, well, now that it's implemented, now we can start to go about the process of seeing what we can do to possibly change, but no delay of Obamacare. And I think that's really going to be the win for the Democrats. Now, at that point, the amount the Democrats will want to back down and give in, I think, is going to be a big issue, because I think any instance of seeing that they will give in anything, even if it's not a delay in Obamacare, will be seen as not having a backbone, and that goes a long way towards the much needed elections for upcoming years. So again, that will remain to be seen. So we have those 21, like I said. I'm not sure what districts that they're coming from, other than what states they're in. But hopefully that they will actually follow up with these quotes, and hopefully they weren't gotten in a moment of passion that they weren't telling the truth. So from the other side, the headline on the Drudge Report is "Hill Takes a Breather." There were some additional resolutions that were passed, I believe, by the House and the Senate in regards to making sure that furloughed workers would receive back pay when the government would be coming back into order, which seems incredibly political and just a measure that everyone already expected to happen. I think that was kind of the underlying sort of idea that if it wasn't your fault that you weren't going to be able to work and you were furloughed, that not because of some government's fault that you shouldn't be paid. So, glad that that happened, but it seems like an incredibly politically motivated move. I know that there was a House discussion about the need to pay and bring back up chaplains in the military and religious services and things of that nature, which again, I'm certainly not for in that context of being paid by our federal government at all. However, why this was separated in funding to begin with from the military budget. I don't understand if I think if the military is already up and running and you're going to be paying for that, then the additional services that those people that provide that are already attached to the military should be getting that payment. I mean, we can have that discussion another day about the chaplains, but for right now, that should have been a no-brainer. And again, I believe it was brought up so that as to force a vote and actually come together on something and appear bipartisan and then go exactly back to saying, well, you didn't compromise. So again, political move. I understand it. Can't really talk much more about it than that. We can talk about the political maneuvering. And again, kind of just going through this first show. Hopefully in the future we will be having other people discuss topics. If anybody would like to do that, definitely let me know. We can set up Skype and do that, and I would love to go over the articles that you're bringing up for the day. So, all right, let's continue on. So other things in the news here, world news, we have the medical marijuana now legal in Romania. This is from a little bit spooky of a website, digi24.ro. Not really sure what the affiliation here is, but it has some news headings in regards to, actually through a Google Translate, saying it's now legal to be used for cancer patients. And this was found on the website via Reddit in the World News section. Now again, somewhere in the comments here we're talking about whether it's actual marijuana, like we would think about it being legal in Colorado, Washington, or is it something in the nature of where it's barely legal and they can put marijuana capsules and try and sell it. So it seems like the truth is somewhere in the middle there. But I think what a lot of the problem is, especially just in such a conservative world, that the medical effects of marijuana are certainly can be numerous, and I think have been showed in studies. But I think oftentimes they are they are used as an argument to make marijuana legal, and what's really lost in that conversation is the fact that marijuana shouldn't be talked about in that sense and had to be justified through a medical use. There are things that provide comfort that we don't need any type of medical prescriptions for, and so I think it should be in some sort of category like that. It doesn't need to be justified through the medical use. And I think stories like these, while they are encouraging, especially for these countries that are outside of America, especially when we have such a problem with our own drug war, they are encouraging. But again, we have to kind of temper our excitement for these and have our own attitude and change the conversation, because we're going to actually change the answer to that question. Alright, so also another news article coming up, some more information about the Washington Hill shooting incident. And again, this story comes from the Washington Post, a little bit different background here, but the article title is "Use of Force in Capitol Hill Shooting Debated." And again, I've seen this a lot, not only through the way that the articles are posted on Reddit, on different websites that are news-based, especially coming out of the Washington D.C. area. A lot of them use the word shooting. So yes, technically there was a shooting. Obviously, the police used their weapons, their guns, and fired shots. However, I think it was more first reported as like a shooting incident, like we've been having, and unfortunately, more of over the past few years, but some sort of mass shooting. And I think this not being something like that, I think it was a little bit disingenuous of the media to report it in that sense. So, unfortunately, that was a little bit kind of a difficult pill to swallow. But this particular article talked about the fact that depending on who the officers actually were that were involved in the shooting may not have actually been justified because the local police apparently do not consider a car an actual deadly force weapon. So that's a little bit kind of crazy. Obviously, I'll link the video in the notes section of the show here, but there's multiple videos where you can see how close the officers are with their weapons and trying to tell the person in the car to stop and almost surrounding her from 3 points. Obviously, she does some clever three-point turning and gets out of the situation, but goes incredibly fast from being almost parked right in front of the officers. Apparently hit one of the officers as well. This is discussed in the article too. But when she was finally cornered again, she was shot and killed. So apparently there's been some internal affairs investigations in regards to the situation, if the firing of the guns were necessary. Pending more information on this case, I'd definitely like to see more information about her and, more tape if it was available from any police cruisers that were in the area. But I can't imagine, when you see a piece of metal like a car coming down at you, and the only thing between it and you is your gun. I still have to think that you're in that situation so quickly that I would not be surprised to see that these officers don't receive anything more than some paid leave and time off, and the normal procedure for when you're needed at after firing your weapon. So. And again, there was some information in regards to the victim here, but again, I'd like to get as much information as possible, just so that you can kind of pick out more of a picture. Because it's always unfair to say just what you hear from the family right afterward, because there's a lot of people that always come out to come at. But here's the quote here from the article. In general, you would not shoot at a vehicle unless it poses the types of threats that would lead you to believe that there was an imminent danger of death and bodily harm, he said. But the thing that's distinctive about this is it was not your typical traffic violation. Yes, absolutely would agree. Gaynor described the erratic behavior and said Carrie refused at gunpoint to surrender. She posed a threat to people and a threat to the Capitol facilities as well as the White House. So yeah, absolutely can see that would be justified under those circumstances. But again, I would like to definitely see some further video and before we conclude that. But again, I think a lot of this is so much overblown. If somebody had some issues and had been in any other city that was not struggling from a shutdown that was on a national and federal level, I don't think that this would be a headlining story. I think it would just be kind of put in the back pages about some crazy person. But I think this is as used as somebody that had a vendetta, and they want to phrase it that way because it makes more sense. But really, this is just another case of why the mental health part of the overall government issue of Obamacare and healthcare is so important. The mental health is every bit as important as the physical health, and the more we do that, the more we can save other people's actual physical health. So, just another indication of that. Okay, so we've been going through some of the top stories here of the day, what's been going on in the news. It's actually been kind of a slow news day, just because all the things have continued to go on. Nothing really new, just more posturing in the government. But I will say, Obama has been doing quite a bit of talking, and I do like that, because I think one of the the positions again in this situation that the Tea Party has always taken, and especially that they've taken the best parts of the Republican Party, of what they were really good at, and that is moving the polls and changing the public perception. They have really done that with seemingly small base, and have always had that kind of a media advantage because of how strong that they were. And I think the only way to combat that strength is also with further strength. Again, I think this is a small vocal minority, but they are really good at convincing others of their ideas, and so it's important to not back down in this situation. And again, I think he's in a very large turning point in his presidency, and he has the benefit of not being able to worry about what other people may think, because he doesn't have to be worried about being reelected. However, I think he needs to take the steps necessary to make sure that the debt ceiling issues and the financial stability of the country and of the overall economic system is maintained. And if that means dealing with the 14th Amendment in regards to the debt ceiling, I think that's a huge step. If it means trying to do what we can to overturn the Hastert rule through the means of political process and the due process and going through, because I think you have to put these 21 or however it may be Republicans that say they're going to vote for something, you need to put them in a position to see whether they are going to be bullied into voting for the Republican Party or voting for what they really feel is necessary. So in the coming days we shall see. Again, the House has been let out for some time. Not sure if they're getting back tomorrow, but if they do, we'll definitely talk about this. And again, this show, we're going to be kind of just a stream of consciousness going through the different topics and headlines for the day. And it's going to be from different sources, like I said, right and left, and we'll go through the biggest news days, and we'll try to get one of these through every day. So heading on over to sports. We have again, like I mentioned, we have the A's game here. We got bottom of the fifth, Oakland up, still 0-0. Again, earlier today, the Red Sox 7. Rays 4, and Red Sox really never didn't lead in that game and had a full control. That's the second game in a row. So they're up 2-0 in that series. Need to just win one more game to move on to the championship series. A's really need to get their offense going here. Like I said, the bottom of the fifth, they have 2 on, first and second, 0-0, playing the Detroit Tigers at home in Oakland. Stephen Vaught is up. And on the other screen here, we've got Northwestern hosting Ohio State. Ohio State just had pick the ball off, so they're first and 10 in Northwestern territory. So it's been a pretty good day of college football. Actually, I shouldn't say that yet. We've really just started some of the better games of the day. We have, like I said, Northwestern right now leading 23-20 in the fourth. Just kind of got close after some very good defensive plays by Ohio State. Earlier in the day, we had some a little bit more differences in scores. LSU taking care of Mississippi State, 59-26. Also earlier in the day, it's actually still going on. Baylor 66, West Virginia 21. And like I said, another good game actually going on still now. We have Notre Dame with the ball, tied with 27 against 22nd ranked Arizona State. Another good game starting, and we'll be listening to and hearing and watching here as the night goes along. Stanford's up 7-0 on number 15 Washington, and that's in Palo Alto in the Bay Area tonight. So some good games going on today. Earlier, again, like I said, not so great. Number 3 Clemson taking on Syracuse. They topped them 49-14. Number 2 Oregon beating Colorado 57-16. Oh, another big loss there. Number 8, Florida State 63. Number 25, Maryland 0. So that was not really, not sure if it was unexpected, but definitely a huge win there. I thought it would be a little bit more competitive. I think a lot of people did, but just not in the cards tonight for Maryland. Another not close game, Texas Tech 54, Kansas 16. Michigan 42, Minnesota 13. I gotta say, I'm not sure if it's just because I'm paying a little bit more attention this year to the college games, or at least paying attention to scores and watching the games a little bit more. But it seems as the weeks go on and on here, we're not getting a lot of close games. There may be one or two. Ohio State's usually in a pretty close game. Some of the mid-10 teams have been in close games together, but really outside of the night games, we've been getting kind of not even fun blowout games, just not even going into the second quarter. It's like you get to 8 minutes of football and that's it for the day. If you're a fan of one of these clubs that's on the end of that, you've prepared your whole Saturday. Boy, I feel sorry for you. So. And again, I don't know if it's just because I've just started watching the games or what, but again, another one. Fresno State playing a BCS 1-5 Idaho team. They take care of business. Fresno State, that is 61-14. Wow. I guess a close one here. Oklahoma State taking on Kansas State. They win 33-29. And then earlier in the week, UCLA took care of business at Utah 34-27. So we still got some good games going on. Like I said, Ohio State, they have the ball down 3. Looks like they're just about to score. They've been kind of fun to watch, but it's hard to say again so early in the season if they're going to be tough later on. They've done really well overcoming the past couple of years with their program. Again, looking through the list of the teams here, Notre Dame, they've been kind of fun to watch as well. But I have to say, I'm kind of wondering, where what the heck happened with that team? What happened? Where'd it go? Somewhere time last year, you have, Manti Te'o, famously having a dying, non-existent girlfriend, and that whole debacle, and how many people knew, and who knew what, and how did he deal with going through this process and having this person he thought was his girlfriend having lied about seeing her, and then having to explain that she was dead, and then having her come back to life. I mean, it must have been like a real life soap opera. And then you have months after the season, you have your quarterback just up and off leaving all of a sudden. And you have these monumental changes on the offense and defense, where you thought, obviously Te'o was probably going to come out anyways, or was coming out anyways, but you have this young quarterback, and you wonder kind of what was going on in that locker room with those, obviously the quarterback who led him to the championship game. So again, an interesting situation, and obviously Alabama today winning 45-3 over Georgia State. They're firmly in the lead. A couple other games tonight will kind of, I think, solidify the picture more. Stanford, number 5, like I said, at number 15, Washington. Number 4 right now, Ohio State, just scoring 26-23. So they're up, and they'll be talked about over this weekend as well. If Northwestern pull off an upset, where do you put them? So interesting for college football. With the baseball coming up tomorrow, let's see, we'll be talking about that tomorrow night as well. Sunday, October 6th, we have St. Louis at Pittsburgh. That series is tied at 1 apiece. That's going to be at 4. So tomorrow night we're probably going to be on, and like I said, as this goes, the show goes on, we'll have hopefully a live broadcast where we could talk and discuss things. And like I said, we'll be watching live sports and news, and as the night goes on. So that'll be out there. And then, so we'll probably be watching the game tomorrow around the time of the San Diego-Oakland football game. So it'll be a late night game, getting a little doubleheader action for the night, and it'll be a perfect time to talk some news and talk some sports. So we'll also have the Atlanta at LA Dodger game going. That'll be at 8 on TBS. So we'll have that game going as well. And watch some baseball. That series also tied at 1 apiece. So the NLDS looking pretty good. Let's take a look at the A's game still at commercial. So the A's are really going to need to get some scoring going here. They've had some trouble last night, and that was kind of disappointing after the way that they ended the season. Especially, not that the Coliseum is a great place to get some momentum from the fans. It looks pretty full, but we'll see how it plays out. They're definitely not afraid to play on the road, I don't think. So, going forward, I still think that they have a fighting chance here. All right, we'll check in on that game as the night goes on. Okay, so let's talk a little football here. Let's go through the schedule. We already had this week Buffalo Bills 24, Cleveland Browns 37. Pretty entertaining game. I mean, obviously the two quarterbacks going down, and man, I have to say, it just seems, fingers crossed that we have just been seeing a lot of injuries lately, and not just injuries that where someone comes back and plays the next play. With the concussion rules the way they are, you're out at least the game that you get hit in. And we've seen with certain players, if you say certain things about, not going to say anything specifically who, but if you ask for the visor, you're going to get the you're going to get the yank on the game. So you have to watch what you say, and obviously we want what's best for these players and what's best for their health long term. That's what's really important. But we've this past game, the Browns and the Bills, we had some pretty big injuries, and it just seems like a recurring theme. Not sure what that's going to be chalked up to. We had a lot of talk earlier in the season about the lack of the practice time and the types of practices that they were having. So not going to say that that's at the core of the issue, but I think it certainly is something to do with it. So moving along here. So that was the Browns and taking control of their division. So good for them. Let's see here. So coming up tomorrow, Sunday, October 6th, we have the Saints at the Bears. That should be a good game. I'll make some picks in a little bit here. We can kind of have some fun with that during the season. The New England Patriots at the Cincinnati Bengals. Again, this is going to be a great week for teams, for the games, actually for the fans. I mean, some great games here. So we have Detroit Lions at the Green Bay Packers. Again, man, just really good games. Seattle Seahawks at the Indianapolis Colts. I'll definitely be having that one on. We'll definitely go into discussion about that team. Baltimore Ravens at Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins, of course, coming off their loss. Pretty big loss to the Saints. See how they can rebound against the Ravens, who's kind of played up and down. We'll talk about Ray Rice. Got him on the fantasy team, so we'll see how he's doing there. Hopefully, he's just good enough to play and will be healthy and safe. So then we have the Philadelphia Eagles at the New York Giants. Not really sure what to say on that game, other than I just hope it's entertaining and I hope nobody gets hurt. Jacksonville Jaguars at St. Louis Rams. That's going to be a tough game. I think that's going to be a lot of pride right there. Whoever can show the most pride in that game. St. Louis fans are kind of rough right now, so I don't know if playing in Seattle or playing in St. Louis really has the advantage right now. Kansas City Chiefs against the Tennessee Titans. The Titans, again, another team. Jake Locker going down, and at this point, not knowing. I've seen reports of 4 to 6 weeks. Seen reports 3 to 7 weeks. Pretty varying at this point. just hopefully he can get back and as soon as possible, because they were playing so well with him, and that's just such a disappointment. And Chiefs come in, rolling hot. That could be trouble. We'll see if the Tennessee Titans defense can at least hold up and stop the run. I think if you can stop the run, it limits Alex Smith a little bit more. But that'll be a good game. Carolina Panthers at Arizona Cardinals. If the Panthers are for real, it's time for them to go into what is a pretty mediocre team that plays well at home, not as well as the Seahawks, but the Cardinals do play well in their stadium, surprisingly well. But it's Cam Newton on the turf. So if you can get him going, you got to beat a team like this on their schedule. Then we have some games later in the evening. Denver Broncos at Dallas Cowboys. I actually think that this will probably be one of the better games that the Broncos have played. I think the Cowboys defense is better than people give them credit for. They're not as good stopping the run, but I think they are better in the secondary. So we'll see. The way that Peyton Manning is playing, I still wouldn't be surprised if he puts up 42 points. But I think we'll have a closer game here. I still like Denver, and again we'll get into the picks later. Houston Texans at San Francisco. Houston coming off a devastating loss. Really, watching that game, really they should have just put away Seattle with no problem whatsoever, and that was just really, really disappointing to see how that came through. So, with the Niners too, you don't really know how much the last game that they played was them being good, or if it was St. Louis being really bad. And they're going to get a chance to redeem themselves at home on a primetime night. I expect them to be up for it. So that'll be a great game. We'll probably have that game on as well tomorrow. Actually, no, we'll still, because the next game after that will be San Diego at Oakland. So that should be another great game. That one's going to be on a little bit late, 11:35, and that's going to be p.m. Eastern time, but I'm on the West Coast, so he'll be a little bit early, 8:30. That's probably about the same time we'll be doing the podcast from. So it might be a little bit longer podcast, so we can discuss that game along with some news. And then the Monday night game, really couldn't be two more struggling teams right now. New York Jets and Atlanta Falcons. Obviously, there's worse teams in the league, and the Falcons kind of get a gift with the Jets coming into town here. Hopefully, again, everyone stays healthy in this one. Geno Smith, against that defense, I think could get sacked a lot. He doesn't get up the ball very quickly, so we will see about that coming up. The A's in the bottom of the sixth right now, up still 0-0, and we just had a Northwestern score 29-27 over Ohio State. Okay, so coming up here tomorrow, we've got, let's go through some NFL starts and sits here. We got Terrell Pryor, he's probable. Coming off of that way that Matt Flynn played, I think they're eager as possible to get Pryor in there. So I think he looks good. Couple running backs that we got here as probable. We have Eddie Lacy, Jonathan Franklin. They're both probable for the Packers. Jamal Charles, probable for the Chiefs. I think he should be out on the field. Brandon Bolden for the Patriots, he's questionable. They already have some other people out. Obviously the big names, but Stephen Ridley's already ruled out. So we're not sure what we're going to see from him. Darren McFadden, he's doubtful. The way that he got hit the other week there, not really sure. I got him on my fantasy team as well, so I'm not going to be playing him. Arian Foster, he's probable, along with Ben Tate, but they should be out there on the field. That's probably nothing more than just for Foster, I believe, a thumb, and Ben Tate's shoulder, so nothing big there. Ryan Matthews for the Chargers, probable. He should be out there on the game, but again, not sure, because he was a little bit limited in practice on Friday. For wide receivers, Danny Amendola did make the trip to Cincinnati for the Patriots, but he is still listed as questionable. Calvin Johnson with the Detroit Lions has a knee; he's questionable. Not sure what exactly, that's probably going to be a game time decision coming up, at the very end there. Andre Johnson for the Texans, again, with the shin, he's questionable. You're going to have some time because he does play in the later game. However, you're going to want to have a backup for a Monday night game possibly. Roddy White, Julio Jones, they both have lingering injuries. You're going to want to check on that. No designation by the Falcons, so that's going to be game time. Miles Austin, doubtful for the Cowboys. I'll just run through a few more of these here. For tight ends, we always have Gronkowski. He is out. Vernon Davis, questionable. He played last week, though. Jermichael Finley, concussion probable. Expected to play. Steven Jackson out. Let's see. A lot of these other ones are people that have been out for a while. Ahmad Bradshaw, Mark Ingram, Jake Locker, Nate Burleson with the Detroit Lions. Some people coming off the injury report. Ray Rice, like I said, I have him on my fantasy team. I'm playing him this week. Not expecting a whole lot just because I know he's coming back. Last week kind of had a rough week coming back from initial injury. So that's kind of where we stand right now on the sports. Let's look through some sports headlines here. Anything else going on during the day? We had a couple NBA games. Derrick Rose coming back to play, and that's just something that's obviously great news. Playing the Chicago Bulls playing the Indiana Pacers. Look how Derrick Rose scored 13 points in 20 minutes. They won an exhibition game, so it's always exciting. The exhibition for the NBA isn't as exciting as for the NFL. Not the same type of feeling, I think, in the sports world. But when a player like as caliber of Derrick Rose comes back into the league and is playing, and you see him out there, and the fans get to see it, it's a great thing. So. We have something to look forward to for the upcoming season. The East is wide open if Derrick Rose is playing at anywhere close to the level that he's capable of. We already talked about a lot of the different college scores. Just to give an update, we have Northwestern 30, Ohio State 27. Alright, and again, we'll just go over one last time. We got the NFL games coming up tomorrow, so we'll talk about all of those games tomorrow. We'll just go through one last time. I'll make some picks real quick here, and again, we'll talk about all these games tomorrow, along with the Major League Baseball games. There's going to be the National League that'll be playing tomorrow. St. Louis at Pittsburgh, Atlanta at Los Angeles Dodgers. And then we have the games for the NFL. We'll talk a little bit about them after the news as well. So New Orleans at Chicago. I like the Saints. I like the Patriots over the Bengals. I like the Lions over the Packers. I like the Colts over the Seahawks. I like Miami over Baltimore. I like the Eagles over the Giants. I like the Rams over the Jaguars. Chiefs over Titans. Cardinals over Panthers. Broncos over Cowboys. 49ers over the Texans, and the San Diego Chargers over the Oakland Raiders. And then for the Monday game, I'll be picking that one up tomorrow. So we will see you then. Again, hopefully you'll be getting this, and we'll be starting to do this every day, going over the news topics for however long we feel like there are stories out there, and then we'll go over some of the things that are going on in the sports world. If you would like to contribute, and we can definitely set that up, so go ahead and shoot me an email, and I'll list that along with the podcast information, and we can set up a time where we can discuss it. I'd like to have different perspective and viewers every day. So again, thanks for listening, and have a great rest of your day.